What is going on, you guys? It's your girl Diana, back at you with another YouTube video. Today we're gonna find out if Torterra is actually good now, since it did get a couple of buffs since its return in the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLC. So let's go ahead and hop into it. So before we hop into the new and improved modern day Torterra, we of course have to see how good Torterra actually was in the past. Somebody insert the false swipe gaming intro right now, because that, no pun intended there. Anyway, so starting off with the basics. Torterra of course debuted in Gen 4 since it is one of the more popular Sinnoh starters. Torterra is a grass and ground type, and in its debut generation did have the ability Overgrow, which with this ability at 1/3 or less of its max HP, its grass type attacks actually have 1.5 times the power. However, as you can see from this Smogon analysis, it did not fare very well in competitive, as it was placed in the UU or underused tier, and that might have something to do with its stats. Torterra has an HP stat of 95, so it is going to be on the bulkier side, with an attack stat of 109, so it is going to be a physical attacker, which that attack stat is pretty beefy. A defense stat of 105, a special attack stat of 75, a special defense stat of 85, and an abysmal speed stat of 56. So this guy quite literally is slow like a turtle or tortoise. And so because of this stat spread, Torterra really never stood a chance in the OU tier. However, it did shine in the UU tier with the Rock Polish moveset, with people putting Rock Polish, Earthquake, Wood Hammer or Seed Bomb, and Stone Edge on it. They of course went ahead and gave it an extra punch with a Life Orb and an Adamant Nature, giving it full attack EVs as well as full speed EVs, because God knows it needed it. Of course, in its debut generation, it did not have any use in VGC competitive. However, in the very next generation, in Generation 5, it did have a brief stint in VGC, as well as the addition to the ability Shell Armor, which means that he cannot be hit by a critical hit. But in VGC competitive, it did find a nice little niche as a Trick Room attacker, which no surprise to anyone. And like I said, this thing is slow, with people using movesets like Wood Hammer or Seed Bomb, Earthquake, Rock Slide, Protect, and or Wide Guard. Item-wise, they were either going with Life Orb to get that extra damage in, or Focus Sash to make sure that bro stays alive. They were going with a Brave Nature and a 252 HP stat and 252 attack stat, which means they were going for a bulky attacker. So it was nice to see Torterra get a small chance to shine, even if it was in a very niche part of VGC competitive. However, in the XY generation, not only did it drop out of VGC competitive usage, which I never really saw VGC usage in the first place, it also dropped into the never used tier in singles, with people trying everything to try to make him more viable, including using the move Rock Polish to try to help with that speed stat, as well as trying to give it a jolly nature and investing everything into speed once again. And in the very next generation, the Sun and Moon generation, it did drop all the way into the untiered tier, with people going for more of a bulky defensive build, investing most of its stats in HP and defense, and throwing leftovers on it. While in the other formats such as NU or PU, people were using it as more of an offensive attacker, giving it either the Rock EMZ or Grass EMZ for those Z moves, a jolly nature, and of course investing in its speed and attack stats. People were also giving it an Adamant Nature if they did not want to go for that speed boost. However, throughout all of the generations that Torterra has been available to us, the main issue has been that, one, it is going to be weak to any ice type attacks. For example, in its debut generation, Hariyama with Ice Punch. And it is also going to be able to be struck down by things like Venusaur and Leafeon that, instead of having immense bulk, are going to be able to outrun and shut Torterra down. And of course, anything that has fire type moves. And Wheezing, which its weakness to ice did not get any better in its brief stint in competitive VGC, as teams with Blizzard were able to one-hit KO any Torterra, with the exception, of course, of those that did carry a Focus Sash. with Ludicolo and Politoed both being two of its main issues, considering that both of them did tend to run Ice Beam. That 4 times weakness to ice was not its friend. Not to mention it also did not resist water, considering that it is a grass ground dual type, which means that even things like Rotom Wash were able to get some good damage in. Of course, in Sword and Shield, Torterra was not available, so we have no information on it for that generation. But we have now caught up to modern day Torterra, which is now in the OU tier in singles. And that's because Torterra finally has access to the move Shell Smash, which lowers its defense and special defense by 1. However, it does raise its attack, special attack, and its speed stat by 2 stages. They also gave Torterra access to Headlong Rush in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which of course is going to be a single target ground type move, which is more powerful than the spread move Earthquake. So you could imagine Shell Smash plus Headlong Rush are gonna hurt, especially considering that Headlong Rush is going to be 120 base power and 100% accuracy, making Torterra a great physical sweeper. And of course, if you did want to make Torterra a little more annoying, you could always throw loaded dice on there, which makes the user's moves that hit 2 to 5 times hit 4 to 5 times in 1 turn. And throw Rock Blast on there, which once again, after using Shell Smash, you can imagine that those Rock Blasts that are hitting 4 to 5 times in 1 turn are going to add up. So it looks like Torterra definitely has some merit now as a physical sweeper. However, if you did want to make it more of a defensive set, Torterra also now has access to Iron Defense, which of course pairs perfectly with Body Press, since Body Press will use Torterra's defense stat as its attack stat calculation in battle, which means the more Iron Defenses you use, the more Body Press is gonna hurt. I would know because I've run into enough Hisuian Goodras that do the exact same thing, and it never gets any less annoying. And let's not forget, before even using a single Iron Defense, Torterra already has a defense stat of 105. So even right off the bat, Body Press is gonna be hurting. And even more so, of course, with the Iron Defenses. And I know what you're thinking, well, yes, I can do that, but it's still gonna be abysmally slow. You can always throw Trailblaze on there to get those speed increases without even dropping your stats like with Shell Smash. Although Shell Smash is still probably one of the best things to throw on Torterra at this point. And just in case you want to be a priority Pam, it does also have access to the move Grassy Glide, which if you pair it with a grassy terrain setter like Rillaboom, could also help in the speed department, considering that Grassy Glide will be a priority move when paired with grassy terrain. But there you have it, those are all of the stats that were given to Torterra upon its return in the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLC. In my personal opinion, I would definitely try tossing it on your team and seeing how it works, because it did get some pretty big improvements. But leave a comment down below if you think you'll be using it in the latest season of VGC. But that's gonna go ahead and wrap it up for today's video. Hopefully you guys found this video helpful, and if you did, I kindly suggest that you consider subscribing so that I can continue to make content for you guys. And if you are already subscribed and you would like another way to support the channel, feel free to check out the merch store. There is a link down below in the description that takes you to not only my merch store, but also all of my other socials so you can keep up with what I'm doing on a daily basis. And of course, there's also a link to my Discord where you can get one of these really cool and nifty Lugia shirts that will only be available until the end of the month. But thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you to those of you who have joined the channel as members. I appreciate you all so much. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.